a song we say to welcome our guests. Come on, y'all sing it. Glad you came. Be a part of our fellowship. To experience this awesome move of God. There's a river that's still flowing. Come on, say.
Are you looking for something meaningful and life-changing to help you move through the challenges of life? Then join Bishop John A. McCullough II and the Friendship Christian Church of Gastonia for an inspirational message prepared just for you.
We're going to say it again. Glad you came.
Pray blessings over you that God honors his word in your life, and he knows all about you. He knows every situation, every circumstance that confronts you. But there is a word this morning of hope and prophecy that is found in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 60. We have been ministering this word this month, and so I wanted to finalize it today, God be willing. And if he says so, we'll minister some more of it, but I do want to be open to his spirit. Isaiah 60, and beginning with verse number 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. But the Lord will arise over you. Somebody needs to see your name in these places. And his glory will be seen upon you. The Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. You can personalize it. It has many dimensions, but you can personalize it this morning, that whatever you might be dealing with, whatever you may be going through, the word, this is part 3, arise, shine, there's glory after this. Connect with somebody and give them a good firm handshake and say, neighbor, oh good neighbor, I don't know what you're dealing with, what you've been through, what you might be going through now, but I decree over you, it's time to arise and shine. There's glory after this. Now loose those hands and give God praise. There's glory after this. Oh yeah, I'm not stuck right in the situation I'm in. But I know that there is glory, there's better that is emerging, and what God has designed and what God has prepared, he has already ordained it. And even though it may not currently be with me, if it belongs to me, God is going to get me to it because it's already in existence. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been dealing with this in part 1 and part 2, and just for a refresher, everybody may not have been in each part. Just for a refresher here, we talked about the idea that we all experience disappointments, and disappointments can be running high, and disappointments tend to be running pretty high, not only in our local lives, but in our national lives, and even in our international lives. We see despair everywhere, and poverty and hunger and everything, all kinds of atrocities that are happening. And so we understand then that this particular message was a message that we released here during this month of December, because this message deals with light, and we said that there is hope in light. There is something unique about light, and whenever there is light, there's hope and vision and revelation, and we understand that out of all of the things that we experience during Christmas, the most important thing that comes to mind darkness, Jesus Christ came as the light. And so he brought hope to those who were hopeless. And even today, there are many who might feel hopeless, and many who might feel depressed and overwhelmed. And so we suggested even that when Jesus Christ came and he said to us, he said, you are the light of the world. And he says you got to make sure that you don't put your light under a bushel, but that you put your light up on a candle stand so that it can light the whole room. And so we have a responsibility as believers to be light. Now, we also suggested earlier that God dealt with darkness, that when God stepped out in the beginning, he dealt with darkness and he divided the darkness from the light. And we understand that the Bible tells us that darkness is equated with plague and evil and the wrong side of God, but that light is that it speaks of the blessings of God. When we see Psalm 119, 105, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The light is symbolic of instruction and illumination and the blessings and the presence of God. So when we come to our text, you remember from last week, we are dealing with people that Isaiah is speaking with, and he's prophesying to them. These are people who have been taken captive, and they were the favored and the chosen of God, yet they experienced something that was traumatic in their life, and they had been taken into Babylonian captivity and so forth. And I told you the other week that even though you may be the chosen and the favored of God, it does not mean that you won't encounter some turbulence in your life. Am I right this morning? And so he is speaking to the people. Isaiah became a vessel of encouragement. And he was trying to tell them that I know that you've been cast out of your homeland. I know that the holy city has been destroyed. And I know that you're hopeless, and it seems like you will never get a fresh start. It seems like you will never see a turnaround in your life. It seems like you will never be able to overcome what you have been through. But can somebody look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, this is your coming forth day. You are an overcomer. Come on, speak. You are an overcomer. No matter what you've been through. We got brothers that testified this morning that I've been through a little something, and I had some trouble, and I caught some stumbling blocks along my way. But aren't you glad that that wasn't the end of your story? I don't know about you, but I'm glad that when I was sinking in that mess, when I was walking crazy on the outside of God, I'm so glad that I didn't get stuck there. But God, because of the prayers of my mother, because of the prayers of my father, because of the prayers of the saint, I was able to recognize that even whenever you go through your crazy times, and somebody might be in the midst of your craziness right now, you might be acting up right now, you might be on the wrong side of God, but I want to tell you, you're at the right place at the right time, because restoration has come for you today. It's time for you to arise and shine. There's glory after this. And so Isaiah wanted them to understand that you got to rise, you got to take your place, you got to stand up, and you got to become a parent and understand who God has called you to be. God has not called you to be broken down and frustrated and aggravated and hopeless. And we told you last Sunday that Isaiah was prophesying, and he had 4 dimensions of the prophecy, and the one was that you can understand that you are about to have immediate opportunity to rebuild. That he says it's time to arise and shine. And that means right now is your fresh start day. You can rebuild from whatever I don't care if it was yesterday that you messed up. I don't care if it was 10 years ago. And whatever has happened in the interim, I want to tell you that today you have the immediate opportunity to rebuild. Somebody say rebuild. He talked to them about the coming Christ and redemption. He talked to them about the millennial period. He talked to them about New Jerusalem, when we all would spend eternity with God. And so he was trying to make sure that he conveyed to them, don't get stuck where you are. Don't allow the enemy to tell you that that's the end of it. You might have come through a job loss. You might have come through a divorce. You may have come through and be going through a separation. You might be going through somebody walking out on you. You might be going through some kind of financial trouble, and you say that I don't have everything I need, but I want you to know there is still hope. There is hope for the hopeless. I wish I could get somebody in here to understand that no matter, even whenever you have prognosticators who may say that we're living in a time where there is no hope, I got to disagree. I got to disagree because even with your sister now, Michelle Obama, I said it earlier, that right now she's saying that because of the presidency and because of who's in the office elect now, that we're at a place where there's not much hope. But I got to disagree with a sister. I got to let her know that my hope is not built in the presidency. My hope is not built in who's in the White House. My hope is not built on who's been elected, but my hope is built, on nothing less than Jesus Christ. And I don't know about you, that it's on Christ, the solid rock, I stand. And so I don't care whose way, my hope is in God. That's what the Bible said, hope thou in God. David said, why art thou cast down, O my soul? Why is it that you got your head hanging down? Why is it that you keep looking at the street and the floor? He said, hope thou in God. I don't care what's going on all around you. When all of the ground is sinking sand, come on somebody, you can say, on Christ the solid rock I stand. I'm standing with Jesus. And I just got to disagree. I agree with a whole lot of things a lot of people say, but I got to critique some stuff when it troubles my spirit. And a whole lot of time, people can say something nationally like that, and you'll go into depression yourself. And because she said we don't have much to hope for now, and it looks like things that, no, the devil is a lie. I serve God, and the God I serve is the God who can bless and strengthen and heal. If he brought me out of one situation, he can bring me out of another. And don't put your trust in chariots and horses and men, but you better put your trust in God. Our hope is in who? God, the Father, the Creator, the Sustainer, the Giver. Every good and perfect gift comes from him. He is the Father of lights, and in him there is no variableness. And so you got to understand, like Isaiah was saying to these people, wait a minute, shake yourself a minute. Shake yourself. You might be running through a little storm every now and then, but shake yourself, because there's some folk, I'm telling you, that would love to be in your situation. I know you're saying, oh, no, not my situation. Yes, your situation. And so he says, you got to make sure that you arise and that you shine. And then 700 years after Isaiah prophesied, Jesus comes on the scene. Jesus is born. The reason that we have Christmas, Jesus is born, and Jesus is the one who was being the brightness of God's glory and the express image of his person. Jesus Christ came, and we got to understand that since Jesus Christ came, he came as the light. And the Bible said that the wise men sought him. They came after him. And we understand that they found him by the light. Light has power. The star in the east, the star does not have its own light, but it is lit by the greater light. And so the first New Testament sign that we see of the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy of Isaiah 60:3 is when the wise men came, and says that the Gentiles shall come. Isaiah 60:3, the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. God's word shall be fulfilled. And even though Isaiah was not there to see it, he prophesied what God said about the coming of Christ. And 700 years later, he is born of a Virgin Mary. And the wise men, the Gentile men, kings, came to his brightness. And they came to his light. Now, those wise men represented those who were not of the household of Israel, Gentile people, people who did not have a covenant. And so Jesus said that now you are light, and you're the light of the world. But understand, we don't have our own light, but we emit the light that is him. John the Baptist was the first New Testament prophet to acknowledge that he was not the light. Go over to John chapter number 1. John chapter number 1 and down at verse number 6. It says, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of the light that was the true light, which gives light to every man coming into the world. Don't ever allow yourself to attempt to be the light. Tell your neighbor, you're not the light. You may be wonderful, you may be anointed, God is using you mightily, God is using you greatly, but you are not the light. I believe that sometimes we forget it, and sometimes we get beside ourselves at those that God may be using, and we forget that we have no light of our own. For the reality is that we are in darkness. We were born in darkness. We are darkness. We desire darkness in our natural. The only thing that draws us to light is the righteousness of God. And sometimes people think they're so wonderful that they are the light. They are not the light, but Jesus is the light. Don't ever allow yourself to outshine Jesus. We are to shine, to be an emitter of that light. We are set to go forth and enlighten people with the light. You have a responsibility. We have a calling. And the good thing about light is that light is going to be light because light knows what it is. I've never seen light hesitate or be reluctant in being light. It does what it does because it knows what it is. It will light up a room no matter who's in the room. Aren't you glad about that? That light, when you cut on the light switch, the light doesn't halfway come on and say, wait a minute, let me check to see who's in the room. Let me see what race is in the room. Let me see what color is in the room. Let me see what gender is in the room. Let me see if the sinner is in the room or the saint is in the room. Let me see who's ducking and dodging in the room. No, light is going to be light. Don't care who's in the room because it understands its responsibility. I'm not called to be judge. I'm not called to be jury. I'm called to be light. Come on, somebody. And you got to recognize that it does not matter the character. There are some people that are not living according to God's word. There's some people who are living like the devil. There's some people that the enemy has drug off and they're living in the world in darkness. But let me tell you something. When you are light, you light no matter who they are, no matter what their life is. You can't judge people and send people to hell and condemn people and throw people aside as if their life doesn't have any meaning. No, you're supposed to go and be light wherever you are. You're supposed to be light in the marketplace. You're supposed to be light on your job. You're supposed to be light in your home. You're supposed to be light everywhere you go. It ought to be light. It ought not be that I turn off the light when I'm around certain people. It depends on who's around as to whether I'm going to be light. If you're light, be light. If you're going to be light, be light. You are the reflection of the light. You have no light that originates in you. But if you're going to be who God calls you to be, then be light. Now understand that the wise men went to Bethlehem to worship the light that could change their lives. They were wealthy, just as Isaiah said. And Isaiah said that they're going to come to your light. They're going to bring with them their treasures, and they're going to open them up to you. Whenever you read all the way down through Isaiah chapter number 60, and he keeps prophesying and telling them of the greatness of who they are, and telling them the good things that are ahead of them. He didn't tell them to get stuck in their current situation. He didn't tell them to be frustrated and aggravated because they might be going through some storms right now. Will you prophesy to somebody beside you and say, listen, you are great. God is going to use you mightily. There's going to be great things that's coming to you. I don't care how fuzzy it looks right now. I still decree and declare over you. You might have made some mistakes in your life. You might have had some shortcomings in your life. You might have had some hiccups along the way. You might not have reached your place of destiny, but keep on moving. Keep on watching. God is not through with you yet. You might have a record. You might have had a child before you were married. You might have had a divorce. You may have lost a job. Whatever it is, the world may have written you off, but I hear Isaiah when Isaiah says you better arise and shine because the glory of the Lord is risen upon you, and the Gentiles shall come to your light and kings to the brightness of your glory. Is there anybody who can shout? Somebody say, I came in one way, but I'm going out another way. Oh yeah, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you got to shake this thing up off of you. Look at the other neighbor and say, neighbor, you got to shake this thing up off of you. The devil has designed this last storm to take you out. The enemy has created this last turbulence to be the last thing. He said, if I can shake her one more time, if I can hit him one more time. He bounced back the last time. The last time I thought I hit him good with sickness. The last time I thought I hit her good with an attack in a marriage. The last time I thought I hit him good whenever he went through another cycle of drugs. The last time I thought I'd take him out because he had to go back to jail. But look at the neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm so glad that God didn't allow the devil to take me out. As a matter of fact, God blocked it, and the devil, God wouldn't let it be so. The devil tried me. Come on, is there anybody? Come on, I mean really. The devil tried me. The devil pressed on me. The devil been trying. But I'm so glad that God blocked it and wouldn't let it be so. Yeah, they wrote you off and said he'll never make it. They said I'd never make it. They said I wouldn't be here today. They said I never amount to anything. But I'm glad to say that I'm on my way and I'm growing more and more each day. There were many who started out with me, but now they're gone astray. But I'm so glad. Is there anybody who can say, but I'm so glad that I'm still here? And as long as I got breath in my body, you go ahead, enemy, and hit me like you want to. But I got a God who can block everything you throw. I wish I had somebody tell your neighbor, you got to understand who you are in God. You're champions in God, and you got to recognize that God wants to use you. That's why God is strengthening you. That's why Isaiah's prophesying to them. He says, listen, you can't sit here in ashes and sackcloth, depressed. You can't sit here talking about, I don't know how in the world we gonna make it. And I'm not telling you we won't get hit. I've gotten hit. As a matter of fact, the more you get in line with God, the more you're going to get hit. So I told you last week, I'm not trying to preach to you from some lofty perch like stuff doesn't hit my life. But God wanted the people, the Israelites, to understand that what I'm getting ready to use you for, you can't get stuck where you are. The mindset that you're in, that you're always overwhelmed, you're always going through. Child, if you just knew if I had your hand, I'd be all right. You know how we say stuff, and God said, I know you go through something, but I've given you the capacity to tread upon scorpions and serpents, and if you would just put into action the things I've given you, you can defeat depression, you can defeat oppression, you can take authority over every weapon that comes, even though it forms, it will not prosper, because there's greater in you. You're light. You're light. And light is supposed to not, we're not to absorb all the light, but we are to reflect it, emit it, transfer it. If all God's light is spent on you consuming it all up, you can't be light. Sucking it up. You know, they say some things are better reflectors of light. And some saints absorb all the light. All the prayers need to be for, child, pray me through. Child, if you don't know this time, honey, you don't know things I'm going through, child, you got to pray. All those that know the words of prayer, pray for me. Yeah, it's good. We ought to pray for each other, but sometimes it's time to get up and let somebody else down in the kneeling pad. Some of us just hog up the kneeling pad. Just we absorbing all of it. I'm always going. When do you ever get delivered? When do you ever walk in victory? When do you ever apply the word and walk in the power and the authority God has put in you? It ought not be that we got to keep propping the same folk up all the time. It's time for you. Listen, Paul said it's time for you to put away the elementary things and to press on to more media things. It ought to be that you ought to be teachers now and not have somebody that has to keep putting pablin in your mouth. You know, back in the old day, they didn't have baby food. The mother would take the mouthful and chew it up and then take it and put it in the baby so the baby could receive it. Because if she put a big old mouthful of collard greens in the baby would get choked. But at some point, that mama knew, now I can't keep chewing this up for you. It's time for you now to get a fork and stop. And that's where some of us are absorbing all the light, all the concentration, all the deliverance. My God, we got to go through and we got to pray. We got to deliver. We got to pull them. We got to pull on. Well, it's time to stand up, Isaiah said, because what is coming is greater than what's been. And even though you've been in bondage, God said the purpose I ordained for you before the beginning of the foundation of the world, I already saw you walking in it. And if you're not walking in your full purpose now, you keep on walking. God is bringing you into it even now. Somebody say, God is bringing me into it right now. And so Jesus says, you are the light. I want to, this is what I want to shout. I want to praise God. I want to dance and remind everybody that there's glory after this. I mean, listen, don't let Christmas season break you down. Don't let the enemy, I'm talking to you, don't let the enemy cause you to go into depression. Don't let the enemy cause you, just because you have been confronted with some challenges, they will come. But Jesus says, I have overcome them. And so you're supposed to rejoice and be glad. And so I'm telling somebody here today, Isaiah said that this is not the time for you to give up. This is not the time to throw in the towel. He said it's time to arise and shine. There's glory after this. There's blessings after this. Breakthrough after this. And not waiting on it to be built. Not waiting on it to be created. God has already created it for you. But here's where I want to segue into and tell you that we have to become people who not only shout over the fact that we can arise and shine and celebrate that glory comes, but we got to be those who help other people. Come on, somebody. See, you want to find the real value in your life. You help somebody else to arise and shine and help them to understand there's glory after this. That's why he doesn't need you broken down all the time. 40% of the ministry that goes on is to minister to people who in ministry. So if we're spending 40% of the time ministering to people who are in ministry, when do we ever get a chance to arise and shine and go help somebody else outside of ministry to know that they can arise and shine and that there's glory after this? I don't need you to walk in the pain of sickness forever, even though you might have something ailing in your body. I told you last week I've had Crohn's 40 years. I've been pastoring here 28 years, so every year of my pastoralship here, I have had Crohn's. But am I supposed to sit around and, Lord, God, if you just heal me of these Crohn's and this situation, I had 4 surgeries, and God, I just don't know if I can help. No. No, you get up and you keep walking and doing what I told you to do, I'll take care of you. I'll watch over you. I'll deal with you. If you keep trusting me, if you keep believing in me, I can show the world that I can still bless and I can still use you, even though the doctor may have diagnosed you with something that could have taken you out. And it was 2 years ago, sitting at the set of It's Supernatural, that the man of God said out of his mouth that somebody in this studio audience or somebody who is on the watching by television is getting ready to be healed from Crohn's. And I was sitting in the studio audience, and I lifted up my hand and said, I receive it, and I got my healing right there. I didn't get it 40 years ago. I just got it 30 at the, oh my God, I just got the revelation. It was 2 years ago. That meant it was at the 38th year. You remember there was a man who had been by the pool 38 years. Jesus came by one day and said to the man, he said, listen, do you want to be healed? And the man said, I don't have anybody to help me to get in the water. And Jesus said, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, did you want to be healed? And he said to him, take up your bed and walk. I got to tell somebody this morning, take up your bed and walk. Get up out of your pitifulness. Get up out of your heartache. Get up out of your depression. You got to learn how to get over you so God can use you. And if and when God decides to heal you, he can heal you like he did me after 38 years. I'm walking in healing. Come on, I wish I had somebody. Tell your neighbor, it's time for you to walk in victory. It's time for you to walk in authority. It's time. You can't wait till the battle is over, but you got to begin doing what I'm trying to tell y'all. Sit down. That ain't where I'm trying to go. Huh? Slap your neighbor, high five, and say, neighbor, arise and shine. There's glory after this. After that trouble, after that heartache, there's glory. Y'all believe it? Don't wait. Don't wait. If you're sitting around waiting for the trouble to leave before you start saying, God, use me, you got a wrong attitude. If you're mad at God, if you're mad at God because he hadn't done something for you and I'm waiting on you to do it, no, let me tell you something. Can I testify? Crohn's and the surgeries that I've had are aggravating to the body. You got to watch what you eat. You got to watch the consistency of what you eat. You got to make sure it doesn't have a whole lot of dairy. You got to make sure this and all. And because of the places that I've been cut in my digestive tract, that I got to watch. And I've been to the time, the one last time we went to Swaziland. We were going, Deacon Hall was going over with me to Swaziland for resurrection time. It was Easter. And we were at the airport. And we ate some sandwiches that morning. I ate the sandwich, and I ate too fast, and I got a lump of it. And it moved, I could feel it, and it got to a certain place, and it just stopped. Just because of the Crohn's and all the things that can go on your digestive tract. So I'm flying 18 hours. Saying, God, in the name of Jesus, I'm on assignment. I got to go over here and do what I need to do. This is not the time to let something like this hit me. And it was becoming painful. I had to not eat anymore on the flight. I had to wait till that body, who would slowly digest it, slower than your normal system, broke that thing down and got it to a place where it could ease through. But I said, God, I'm going and I'm believing that everything is well. I can't wait and say I ain't ministering because of this. And I went on over and I ministered as to what the Lord told me to say. And then there are times that I have gone places and I got to make sure that I'm eating the right stuff, not eating something that might cause some kind of interruption and all that stuff. And if God can send me to Africa and to England and to South America, come on somebody, and to Central Africa with my situation and with all the things, I'm not claiming the disease, but there are still some leftover damages but I am not waiting on all that to clear up before I glorify God. I've been glorifying God. And if you sitting there waiting and bound in your situation, waiting on God to turn it around before you say, God, use me, you got to wrong conception of what you need to be. I wish I could get somebody this morning who would tell your neighbor, bump your neighbor and say, neighbor, get up out of it right now and say, God, I want to be used right now. I'm not going to wait till my husband acts right. I'm not going to wait till my wife acts right. I'm not going to wait till my children turn around. I'm not going to wait till my finances get together. I'm not going to wait till all these things, but I'm going to praise you in the midst of it. I'm going to bless you in the midst of it, because I know that trouble don't last always. I know that sickness don't last always. I know that disease doesn't last always. I know that the hell's hound on my trail don't last always, but put your trust in God and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will. I said he will. Won't he do it? If he did it for me, he can do it for you. Tell your neighbor, get up, arise, shine. Glory is coming after this. God didn't create us pitiful. God didn't create us broken. That's the works of the enemy. And Isaiah said, it's time to arise and shine. There's glory after this. And I want to share this last thing with you, because I believe that this is what God wants us to hear, because God is pushing us to new dimensions. If you're light and you're assigned to be light, don't let light get stuck on you. Bend in such a way that I can help somebody else say, there's glory after this. I want to show you some clips right quickly. God is opening up doors and ways for us to do ministry. Jesus says, you're going to be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in Judea, in Samaria, and the uttermost part of the world. And I thank God for the opportunities that he's been opening up. And I don't think he's opening these up just for me to have contact, but opening up these opportunities so all of us can do ministry even at a greater level. I want to share this with you because I need to convey to us that we don't need to get stuck shouting over the glory that's coming for me. But my life takes on new meaning when I can help somebody else see the glory. When I can help some other person who's trying, somebody else who's trapped, somebody else who is stuck. I'm going to play a video for you, and then I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of what took place in South America. And I want you to understand, see yourself in the place where I was and the team that I was with, so you can understand that if you can ever get the light off of you and start seeing somebody else who needs the light, you're going to see how God has left you in the earth and the purpose he has for you. Okay.
All of us struggle. All are broken. Many of us feel we're part of humanity's mass, constantly moving and going nowhere. We find frustration in our relationships, our systems, and even ourselves. We're lonely. We're cynical. We're scared. They felt all this too, even more so.
2,000 years ago, their everyday existence was what we would consider the third world, covered in spiritual darkness, smothered in political violence and oppression. But heaven's light shines into this.
There in a cold, wet cave lay a God who put on flesh. A God who, for some strange reason, was choosing to dwell among people.
Into the heart of the familiar,
This baby holds the potential to restore humanity's belief in the extraordinary. Heaven's light shines into this. With his life, he will save. With his death, he will conquer.
And with his love, he will answer the question, what is God?
what is God really like?
So even even though we sit 2,000 years beyond this event,
Can we really sit beyond this event?
the one who was held by Mary is now holding us,
The one who cried in the middle of
In the middle of the night,
is now wiping the tears.
is now wiping the tears from our eyes.
This newborn is offering new birth wherever you are.
whatever you're in the middle of.
However, the story of your life has unfolded.
The news is good.
The news is very, very good.
Heaven's light shines into this.
Hallelujah. Somebody give God praise that the light shines into this, whatever the this is. And I want to tell you that we went to Colombia, South America. And we went with the team, and when we got there, we went with Compassion International. Compassion International is a ministry that delivers children out of poverty in Jesus' name. And we went there to this first church, and the church is on the foundation of Compassion Ministry. And Compassion gets people to sponsor children, to take them off of the streets, to help them get out of poverty. And they come in at an early age. And we came as ambassadors of the light. And we came with the message that there is glory after this. And so these are some of the children who are coming through the First Churches program. And the next slide, there's a picture. There's a picture. That's the pastor of this particular church. As you can see, is no structure like the churches we have. But yet they're still there trying to do ministry in the midst of darkness and pain and all the things that are happening in that country. That's a part of our team, and that's his wife there with the yellow, with the pastor and the other two team members who are there on my right side. But some of our team members are there. You can see in that particular church building that is fragile, cracked. It does not look like what we do ministry in. And that pastor there had a room where they were giving instruction to young people. And he said, I want to reproduce this. And he said, from this room, the model of this room is going to be the transformation of Colombia. He spoke with vision that there's glory after this. Even though we're in this, he still understood there's glory, all right? We went into the homes. We were going there to minister. We took some little gifts that we were giving to children. This little girl's mother has 8 children from the ages of 25 down to 2 months. And so you can see that the houses are just little shanties, and you can see the sun coming in. The sun comes in just like the rain comes in through the bricks when it rains, all right? Next. All right. That's all right, malfunction. Somebody say there's glory after this. Somebody say the light's getting ready to shine again, even on this. That we can have a little breakdown in our technology, but glory. See there? Somebody put your hands together. This is the mother and the 2-month-old and the 2 of the other children and some of our team members. But you can see the house. That's the kitchen and that we're standing in. And if I walk 3 steps, we're right in the living room ready to go out the door. That's the place they're living. We're going to help deliver somebody out of this, all right? That's me holding the little baby. And, of course, the little brother is making sure I've got him right. This is some of the parents and children who come to the program at that first church. When we went to the second church, the church in the mountain, the church that they called the Church of Victory. Yet the bus went up so far and had to stop, and we had to walk the rest of the way. And when we got there, these little children were singing to the glory of God. We didn't know what they were singing. It was in Spanish, but they were singing. This is the church in this open air, just almost like a picnic shelter. That's where they have church 24/7, or whether 12 months out of the year. This is the pastor who's doing ministry at that mountain church. They call it the Victory Church. He said it used to be a place, a village that was filled with witchcraft, and it was filled with sorcerers, and he came to that place. These people were transferred to this mountain because Colombia had the cartel and all of the killings, and they were moving people to a safe place. And so he came there as the pastor, and that's who I believe that God is sending us back to go and do ministry Wednesday, and when we go back to Columbia, some of you will go and meet them at this place. That's inside of one of the buildings. The children, the teachers is going through some things, demonstrating what they learn. And then I said this morning, boys are going to be boys. They got the profile, all right. Some other students. And this is one that I took a picture. I said, you remind me of my daughter. This is a teacher. And so I took a picture with her. I said, you're tiny like my daughter. She teaches school too. And she was one of the teachers. This is our team and their team. They're together. Compassion Ministry is a ministry that teams up and connects people to adopt and sponsor children. And we were there in Columbia, and I was led of the Spirit to adopt this little boy. This is Ally Enrique. And he's been in the program 3 years without a sponsor. And a sponsor commits to $38 a month and writing to the child and overseeing the child as it grows. But when he found out he had a sponsor, he ran to me and grabbed me like he has known me all of his life. He grabbed my hand and wouldn't let go. I'm talking about now, I can celebrate the fact that I can arise and shine. There's glory after my situation, but until I can go somewhere else and help somebody else to arise and shine, to know there's glory after their situation, we have not totally been fulfilled. So he grabbed my hand, and we were on assignment to go visit his home. And so we had to go up this mountain. Next. We had to go up a mountain and down a mountain, and so he's got my hand leading me to go down to his house. All right? That's just a shot I took of the mountainside and where the people are living. And that's me being real careful, because that right there is a whole slope downward, and the trail is very thin, and I was trying to get back to my wife and family and friendship. All right? Now, this is when we got to their house. Their house is just a little block building. That's his brother that's on my left, and his father on my right. His mother's a maid. She had to work that day, and these are some of our team members, and this is the house, all right? This is just outside and just getting to know them. This is my first time meeting. We came to be a blessing. I'm giving him some groceries and some things to help in their household. You can see the refrigerator. That's the kitchen. You see the dishes. And I'm standing in the living room. That's how small it is. All right? The little fella, I told you last week, you will have a Merry Christmas. Despite you might not get everything you want, young people, children, you might not get everything you want, but you got to recognize there's some children who appreciate a coloring book. He's so fascinated with that coloring book and those little cars and crayons, and he's excited about that, all right? And sometimes we spoil ours and give them, and there are some people in the world who want to know, is there glory after this? All right? This is the master suite. That's his parents' bedroom. They were taking us through the house, and that's the master bedroom. And then he's explaining to us, Mr. Ramirez is explaining to us how they get water up the mountain. They got to pump water up through long hoses, and the difficulty of life that they're having. You can see the television. They do have some electricity, and the television is there, but it's right there in what we see as the kitchen. We hiking it back. All right, that's his staff there, the pastor and his staff. That's the church, that outdoor quarter. Then we went to the third site. This is a site that is out at the ocean, and these children are waiting on us to arrive in our bus, and they're holding up signs with all of our names on it, and they're going to escort us through the day. And this next picture is my little girl who came to meet me and to be my escort. Then we went into the church. That's the pastor's wife. We got interpretation, of course, they're in Spanish. That's the church. It's not anything like what we have, but they are still glorifying the name of the Lord, believing that things are going to get better. Hurricane Matthew that came and tore up North Carolina also impacted them greatly, all right? That's some more shots of the church and some of our team, some of the children, other children. This is after they had done a presentation. That's my little escort. I got photobombed by one of the leaders. And this is the outdoors where they're trying to build now a place that they can house more children. The more children come through the program. Compassion has 1.9 million children throughout the world, and they minister to about 200 here, and they're trying to expand it, and that's the pastor's wife telling us about everything. And that's what the building looks like so far. Church building. And that's me. They told a story about having the gift of God. God so loved the world that he gave the gift, and if you got the gift, you can get on the glory salvation train. So I joined in the salvation train. Anybody on the train with me? I don't know about you, but I'm going home on the morning train. All right? They were teaching the parents how to help themselves. This is one of the parents that knitted together a carrying bag, and they sold some of their things, and I bought it from her, and I wanted to just take a shot of her. And then that's some of the instructors. Then I found a mother. The mother said, let me get in on this too. So we took a picture of one of the mothers. And that's us and their whole staff. And some of the children who were adopted and sponsored that day, some of them now have sponsors. All right? The night we came to the conclusion, Compassion takes in children at different ages. These girls came into Compassion's program at the age of 5 and 7. The girl on the in the light blue came in at 7, and the other girl on the end at 7, and the one in the middle at 5. They are now graduates of college. They just received their degrees. Come on, somebody. Because somebody came in to help them to know that, yes, you're in poverty, yes, you're going through, but there's glory after this. And the young lady in the blue sat at our table, and she shared all of the significance of being a part of Compassion and what it meant to her. And now she has become a sponsor, and she has adopted a child that she's going to be a blessing. You see how the light, you don't let it just get stuck on you. All right? And that's our team that sat at our table as she shared that night. And that's all of our team members who went to Columbia. And then our guides and our translators there, I just wanted to take a picture with them before leaving that night. We were leaving the next morning. That's a couple of other translators and guides. And this is another one, Oscar. And that's Julio. Julio is a nut. And you can see right there that he's a nut. But they love what they're doing. They understand they are facing great crisis and poverty, and when you look around, they have nothing to smile about except for the joy of Jesus that comes on the inside. And so if I can go there to help them to understand that there's glory after their this, because I celebrated the glory after my this, then my living is not in vain. And then there's a young lady. I want to share you with this last picture, because there was a young girl from Africa that was 12 or 13 years old, and she weighed 48 pounds. And she needed adoption. She needed somebody to embrace her and love her. And this family from Texas, one of the in-laws of one of our sponsors, that's her on the left, 48 pounds, 12, 13 years old. And they took her in just like that. Caucasian couple, family. 10 years later, after love and nurture, look on the right. Same child. I wish I could get somebody. There is glory. I wish I could get somebody say, if you just are willing to share the light on somebody else, it will be transformation to let them know there's glory after this. I wish I could get somebody to put their hands together and say, God, I can't get stuck on me. I can't get caught up on what I'm going through. I can't be overwhelmed because I'm having a little trouble. My God, and when I look at the life of somebody else, my life is a shining wonder. And if I can be a blessing to somebody else to arise and shine, there's glory after this. Clap your hands if you want to be a part. Somebody say, I want to be a part of what God is doing. I know I've got to go through some things. And Isaiah said to the people, I know that you feel like you feel, but you got to arise from this. There's glory after this. Come on, everybody standing. I'm done. I just wanted to present that and share with you that even as we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, the life of Christ, the light of Christ, there's glory after this. Can we jam it up a little bit? Can we jam it up?
If you're looking for dynamic worship, inspirational teaching, and a friendly atmosphere, you can visit us on Sundays at 221 West Bradley Street in Gastonia, North Carolina. For more information about our ministry, you can call 704-865-9016. To order your personal copy of today's message or any other broadcast, please call 704-865-9016 and indicate the broadcast date. Or you can just visit us online at www.friendshipgastonia.com. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast with Bishop John A. McCullough II and the Friendship Christian Church. Make sure you join us next week at the same time. And remember, let God take control and let the Spirit flow.